So, back to the technology show.
It is the technology show where we translate geek into regular speak. I'm back in the We Love Marketing Pod Studios recording this week. Well, there we go. Trying to make it a bit more interesting. So we're getting down to the skinny end of the year. Done the Black Friday, Cyber Monday thing. Everyone's now shopping furiously for Christmas. Hopefully you did take some advice from some of the previous shows and didn't overspend or buy things that you didn't need. I'd like to say that I took my own advice, but probably be lying. But anyway, so we've got another action-packed show for you today, filled with cool stuff, cool tech, cool toys, games. Let's bring up the slides and get into it. So first off, things with a Z. Now, if you are thinking about a new laptop but don't want a Mac, I forgive you, but there is still a better choice than a Windows machine. I'd like to introduce you to the new Chromebook Plus series. And I actually got to play with one from Asus. It's the Asus CX34. Very cool device. The one that I received, well, if you're watching the show, you'll see it's a white. I think they call it Arctic white. I'm not sure. But it's like a matte, nice, it's just a great looking device. You know, nothing better than opening up a new toy and getting to play with it. Let me see if I got any banners up here. I think I got a link to it. Yeah, there we go. Right, so I have reviewed and used a Chromebook for a while, actually. So it's actually my travel machine. I might have mentioned this on one of the shows, but when I don't want to actually use my Mac or I'm traveling on holiday, so don't really want to take my work machine, but there might still be a need for a machine, maybe for entertainment, or in case, got to write a document for a client or something might come up. The Chromebook has actually been my go-to for pretty much a year now. Said the one that I was using up until this one was the Chromebook, not the Chromebook Plus. We'll talk about that soon. And I love the device. Most of my stuff is on Google, so it made sense. Now, the Chromebook, for those that don't know what it is, which I'd find very hard, it runs on Chrome OS. So that's Google's operating system. It's based on Chromium, if you want to get really technical, which is what a lot of the people use in the open source worlds like Linux. And when they first came out, they were actually pegged as budget devices that are good for school or maybe some light work use. This was probably due to the fact that the Chromebooks always required an internet connection. It's Chrome, web browser, needs to be connected, right? And they also had very small storage. Now, I'm not talking about memory as in RAM, I'm talking about physical storage. You'd get like a 16 gig machine. And again, the reason was obviously because it was designed to be used online as a browsing device, and you'd be linked to your cloud server or cloud storage of choice. Now, as the factor became more mainstream, the performance and the storage increased. And thanks to the fact that most Android apps run on a Chromebook, you can actually work offline too. Google now also bakes in their Office suite for offline use as well. So if you're using Docs, got to think of it, Docs, Sheets, and Slides, I think it is, or something like that. Then those are now available offline as well. So you can work offline. You don't have to be connected. I just want to put a point out there that if you're an Office 365 user, generally that's designed to be used online. And if you were going to want to work offline in a Chromebook, you'd probably have to use the Android app version. I personally don't use Office 365 unless I have to. So I haven't tested that out. But my understanding would be that you would download the Android app version. If you wanted to work offline, you would be able to work offline, and so on. Happy for someone to correct me and tell me it's wrong, and you can get an Office, a Microsoft version, of all the Microsoft programs for offline. I don't know. Anyway, all new users get free access to Google Gemini's advanced AI. So now I've previously discussed and reviewed some of the Pixel range. Well, not some, quite a lot of the Pixel range. And AI is Google's mantra. So it only makes sense that, they want to use it on their Chromebooks too. More on that a little bit later. Let's get on to a little bit more of the show first. Now, Although I use a Mac, I actually use Google for everything, including storage, and I use the Chrome browser. I have spoken about this on many shows, so I don't know if I classify as 100% fanboy. In the true sense is that I don't like Safari and I don't like Mail, and I definitely don't like Microsoft. So Google was always or Google Workspace was always my choice. And the other thing as well is that because I get to review so many cool toys, it made sense to have a more universal cloud partner that could work across any device. And that was probably the other reason why I went with Google in the early days as well. So this device has always been easy for me to pick up, sign in, and get cracking. I'm talking about the Chromebook Plus and obviously the Chromebook prior to that. So what's the Plus all about? Well, what have we got sidewise? Change the pictures. Yep, they're changing. Sorry, last week I had a few technical issues, so I just want to make sure that my slides were changing. The simple and obvious answer is more. There's more storage, more RAM, bigger or better processor, better displays, better camera. I generally don't geek out and go into all the specs, but just to give an example, in order for a PC manufacturer to use the Nomica Plus, there are minimum requirements. For example, there has to be a minimum of 8 gigs of RAM. Some of the early Chromebooks only had 4. There needs to be, I think, a minimum of 256 gigs of storage. There was something about the screen. I think the minimum is 1080. So there were certain requirements that Google actually specified before you could use the Plus. It still works the same as a Chromebook. If you're using a Chromebook, it's not that's that much different. It's all about the performance. And I think it's also a statement of moving more into a professional realm, given that you have more RAM, given that you have, I think it's a minimum i3 on the Intel processor, and I can't remember what the Ryzen or AMD equivalent was, but there are minimum requirements. Now, as with all technology, things get better. The Chromebook Plus is no exception. I worked, as I said, I work with a lot of open tabs. I have been called out about this before quite a few times, but I promise you I'm not exaggerating. You can look at my machine any time of the day. There are 70 to 80 tabs open with multiple groups and batches. So I work on 2 to 3 monitors. I'm looking that way every now and then because that's where my second screen is, where I can see what's going on in the show. And there are never ever less than 70, 80 tabs open at any given time. I am happy to say the Chromebook Plus tears through these. There's no lagging, there's no slow loading. Chrome has got better over the years. They do have energy offset components that are now built in as long as you keep updating. Tabbing through is instantaneous, super smooth. So using Chrome for Chrome or using a Chrome Plus book to use Chrome, super easy. The build and the specs will obviously depend on the manufacturer. Now, I touched on that earlier, right? And I said there are minimum requirements for it to be a plus. The one that I've been using, and in fact, I'm doing the show on it because it's internet-based. The one that I'm using is the Asus CX34. It's a 14-inch i5 Intel processor, so it's not a slouch. Build quality is great. As I said when I started the show, I got this Arctic white color. There are quite a few ports on the Chromebook. There's the USB-C on the one side. You've got an 3.5 earphone jack. You've got 2 USB-A ports, another USB-C port, and a dedicated HDMI port. Now, that pretty much puts it slap up bang with, in fact, it's better than my MacBook Pro. I think my MacBook Pro has only got 2 USB-C ports and an HDMI port, and the Pro Maxes had, I think, a third HDMI port. So, yeah, no slouch when it comes to connectivity either. Now, this particular model did not have touchscreen. Now, as a Mac user, I'm used to not having a touchscreen. However, this could be an issue for some users. There are other manufacturers that would make Chrome Pluses. If this is a requirement for you, please make sure you check your specs. As I said, I'm not unhappy that I don't have a touchscreen. On the Chromebook models, I believe, I was led to believe it was a default thing that it had touchscreen because they also designed most of them to fold over backwards and you could use them as a tablet. So when I did try and touch this and I noticed that it didn't do anything, and then read the box to see that it wasn't a touchscreen. Yeah, so apparently to be a Chromebook Plus, it doesn't have to have a touchscreen. So if that is, as I said, if it's something that's important for you, I don't know, maybe you need to touch it for whatever reason. I don't like fingerprints over my screen personally, so yeah, it's not something that bugs me. That being said, the model, the Asus CX34 that I'm playing with, it goes into 180 degrees flat. So you can open it and it like goes down. I can't do it now, so I've had to lean forward and touch it, and then that would be bye-bye camera, and you'd be looking at the roof of the podcast studio I'm sitting in, not me. But it goes totally flat. Now, given that it doesn't have a touchscreen, I'm not quite sure why it does that. Um, maybe you're sitting at a table and it's nice to have it flat and it's there, and you're looking at it next to your printed paper. I'm not sure, and I can't find a use case for it. I really don't know. So, but it does. It goes 180 degrees flat. Battery life is really, really good for its size. It's not shod with the biggest battery on the market. And remember, battery and weight is a trade-off. So you didn't want to go too big with the battery because you have a heavy machine, but the device is designed to be used online. So with being connected, I was able to stream content, work on multiple tabs, and get a whole day in. Not one of my days, a normal person day. So yeah, an 8 to 5. And in fact, I've done that a few times, especially when it comes to reviewing tech. Um, I do like to play with it for a while to like try and take it through some of its paces. I did a whole day's work on the device unplugged, and it was tethered to another monitor as well. So I had my external monitor plugged into the HDMI port, and I might have had other peripherals actually plugged into the USB-C, which means they would have been drawing as well. I'm not sure. My keyboard and mouse are Bluetooth, so that would have been drawing on power as well. Everything was in Chrome. All my work is in Chrome. I had video playing as well. When I work at home, I generally have either sports or news, or maybe even a series playing on one of the screens that I have going. So, yeah, definitely a full day. The report is that you can get 10 hours of movie playback. I don't have time to watch 10 hours of content, and obviously content consumption, and depending on the definition that you've set your movies to, would be the biggest use case. But I don't think a brand like ASUS would report something that was non-factual. So if they're saying that you're going to get up to 10 hours of movie playback, you're going to get up to 10 hours. What would be up to? Well, if your screen is 100% set bright, if your volume is set to 100%, probably 9 hours or maybe 8 hours or 7 hours. I don't know. Those will consume more battery. But if you're just watching it, looking at the normal screen and normal light with decent volume, the report is 10 hours. That makes it an all-day machine. And this is what I said at the beginning of the show, right? I never upgraded my iPad when it got older because I got a Chromebook to play with, and I used to always use my iPad with a keyboard cover. And that was the idea. I could run around with it because I knew I'd get 10 hours of battery and I could still do pretty much everything with it. But you actually can't. Like iPad OS still has its limitations, whereas here with the Chromebook, I could do everything, and it just became my running around machine. So I know I can grab the Chromebook, run out the door, and I'm good to go for the day, which is awesome. Um, Now, the other thing is, it's actually I mentioned as well was it's cool that you can play with all your Android apps and games. So if you've got anything that's downloaded on one of your Android devices, you can possibly make it available on Chromebook. I say possibly because I do believe that the developer has to make it available to run on Chrome. There might be a tweak or two. I haven't found any apps that I use that I couldn't use on the Chromebook. A lot of the games I play are available on the Chromebook. I generally try not to play games on computers. I try and make them my work devices. But sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Um, but yeah, so you've got all the Android apps. Um, Most software is web-based these days, right? So, like I mentioned, Office 365. You can use Office 365. And in fact, someone asked me about this the other day because with a Mac and a Windows machine, it always seems to be that Office, specifically Excel and Outlook, are never as powerful as the PC versions. Well, now you can get around that. You can use Office 365, you can go into the cloud, and you can do what you need to do. So the same would apply for the Chromebook. If you and or your company are Microsoft based, you can use 365 on your Chromebook. If you're connected, you can use the web version. If you're not, you use the Android apps. But the point is that I don't think there's going to be any programs that you can't use. And in this day and age, if they don't have web-based and or web serve, probably time to find another program. Right. I said I would discuss more of Google AI and Gemini and a bit later on in the show. Well, we're a bit later on in the show. So here are some of the features available to Chromebook Plus users. Now, first off, you get free access for a period. Go get this right, because this is to promote Gemini. You get 3 months on Chromebook and 12 months on Chromebook Plus of Gemini Advanced, which is Google's like the equivalent of the paid version of ChatGPT. I do believe that promotion, I think that promotion ends at the 31st of Jan. So if you've bought a Chromebook recently, please remember to have a look at that. It probably will pop up on your screen like mine did. If you're thinking of buying a Chromebook, then this is definitely hey, Mick, you're supposed to be relaxing on the Whit Sundays, not listening to me. You can listen to me anytime you want. Just come back to work. So basically, yeah, you get up to 12 months on Chromebook Plus, but that offer expires on the 31st of January. So take advantage of that. If you were thinking of buying a Chromebook, that's quite a big saving as well. I think it's about $20 a month. So over the year, $240. Other super cool features, right? So I'm not going to mention all of them. We don't have enough time on the show, right? But the one is Help Me Read. Now, this will summarize documents and websites for you. Some sites may not work. The ones I tried all did, and very cool. So basically, you can also, so you'll summarize the website or put into a summary for you or your document that you're working on. But you can also then highlight a part and ask Gemini a specific question about the part that you've highlighted. So if you're doing a lot of research, in my day-to-day job, being involved in marketing, we've got a lot of clients that require strategy. We sit there, I've got to do some research or write blogs or EDMs or anything like that. I can take a certain component, ask Gemini, it's going to give me a lot more information. It's very cool. The next feature that I really liked was Live Translate. You do have to set this up before the call. I tried to do one and it failed because I didn't read. I just did. So you have to go into the settings and set up before the call. But basically, jump onto Google Meet with someone that doesn't speak your language, and they just speak to you. The transcription appears on the bottom of the screen, which has been around for a while, but now it turns it into audio. So now you can actually talk to the person and listen to it back in English or Spanish or whatever it is, the language that you choose. I think there's 100 languages already that are listed. The Chrome OS recorded with AI summarization. Now, this is obviously tech that they've taken on the Help Me Read. So basically now you can, when you've joined a Zoom call and it always says AI note takers joined this call or something like that. It's the same thing. So it will record whatever is being said. It will transcribe it, and then through AI, it will summarize it. I do have a device called the Plord that I have reviewed, that I love, that does a lot of recording on that for me. But now I can just do it straight on the Chromebook. So I don't have to transfer from any other devices. I just do the call on Meet. There's the transcription when I'm finished and ready to go. There were other features, as I mentioned. Not going to get into all of them. These ones that just stood out for me. You can go and do some Googling yourself or ask me some questions. Right. Then the Chromebook is not all work. Now, I mentioned as well that I grab mine when I go on holiday. So holiday is photographs and Netflix. That's what I generally would use an iPad or a laptop for. And Mick, if you're still listening, you should be watching Netflix or whatever. Mind you, in such a beautiful part of the world, you shouldn't be doing anything but being in the ocean. Right, back to the show. So as I said, it's not all work. There's some really cool features that have been baked in as well. So the first one is Phone Hub. You can connect your phone to the Chromebook and it's there and you can actually control it. This will allow you to also transfer photos that you've taken from your phone straight into your Chromebook. Now, when I first thought about that, I was like, well, I use Google Photos, so I can just go to the website and then download them. But then I thought about it. I have to go to the website and download them, right? Now it's just there on my phone. I just drag it straight out and it's on my desktop and I can work with it. And the reason I say that I work with it, this this is part of one of the other features they've baked into it as well. Now, Mac and iPhone ecosystem have been doing this for a while. It's called handoff, but you can't really control your phone. So the messaging and notifications appear on your Chromebook. Mac has done that with iPhone for a while, but you can actually now, if you were using your Chromebook in a place where there was no Wi-Fi, if your phone is connected through Phone Hub, you can actually turn on the hotspotting of your phone without actually having to touch your phone. You can just do it from controlling via Phone Hub. That was pretty cool. Back to the phone. So Magic Editor, which is probably my most loved Pixel phone feature, is now built into Chromebook Plus. So bring your photos across, whether you do it from Phone Hub or you download them or you get them on email, and straight away you can go into Magic Editor. The other Pixel tools that have been brought across are Magic Eraser and Photo Blur. So you now have kind of like almost a little edit tool on your Chromebook without having to do anything. You don't need to be connected to the internet to do this. It's part of the Chromebook or Chromebook OS. So yeah, that was really cool. Millions of Android apps, pretty good, pretty good, well-rounded machine. I'm gonna pretty much have to stop there. I can't think of anything else. I can. So, the one thing I couldn't find is a decent email app. Now, as I said, I run my personal email off Gmail. My company is all on Microsoft 365, so I can use Outlook for that. But I have private emails. I've got other like non-Gmail or just hosted email addresses. If you use a MacBook or a Windows machine and use, for example, Outlook, you can add non-Microsoft or Gmail accounts, etc., into it. I couldn't find a really good app. I think I found one called like TrueMail or BlueMail or something like that, but very, very basic. So if there's a really good multiple email management app out there, I'd love to know about it, because at the moment I have, let's say, 3 Gmail accounts. I have to actually log in and out of them, which is not ideal, as opposed to just getting them all in one place. So it was the only thing that and that's not new. That's been on Chromebook forever. I've never been able to find that solution. That brings us to the end of Things with a Z. I hope you enjoyed that part and that it's been super fun playing with it. So we get into tech news. I love the story. So if you're watching the show, there's a picture of a really cute little old granny on her phone. She's an AI character, and this is thanks to the really brilliant people at O2. O2 is a British telco mobile company. They've created AI Granny, and she's brilliant. So the idea being that when a scammer calls, looking for a senior, which unfortunately is the demographic that gets hit the most, Granny will answer and keep them on the line for as long as possible. She'll frustrate them, as only a technology challenged senior can. I think I shared a link to the video of her on my LinkedIn page yesterday or the day before while I was prepping for the show. But just Google O2 Granny AI and you'll find it. And she's brilliant. She's got this lovely posh voice, and you hear and you can hear the scammers getting like super frustrated with her. And she's like, no, just calm down. I'm just doing my best. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Hopefully they share this technology with telcos all over the world, because generally when the scammers phone, right, they don't know who they're phoning. It just happens. So yeah. What's it? Granny AR. I think that's what it's called, but just Google it. Right, so TikTok clock stop. Sorry, Kylie, this might be upsetting news for you. Kylie's our social butterfly, and TikTok's definitely one of the platforms she plays with. But ByteDance, which is the holding company, has till January 19th, which is like a month away, to divest TikTok from their company. And if they don't, they are probably going to be banned in the US. Now, the company has filed an emergency motion to try and block this law. The reality is that their market is so big, and TikTok was kind of designed to penetrate the Western market. I'm not actually sure if they can survive something like that. Like, would a ban like that just stopping users, would that have such a knock-on effect on the ad revenue that it's actually not viable to keep it going? Don't know. Be interesting to see how it plays out. Personally, I don't use TikTok that much, but our clients do, and it's a really big platform. So it'll be a pity that they get censored for the sakes of security issues and that alone. I'm not suggesting we shouldn't be cautious of security. In fact, we need to be more cautious of security in this day and age. But it's a company doing what they're doing. What else have we got? So Apple TV is now available in Prime Video. I just want to pause at that second. When Apple TV first came out, I found it wanting. That's probably the best description. I found that there wasn't much content on there. It just seemed to be like a shopfront to sell stuff. You could buy stuff, like in the days of iTunes when you could buy music, you could buy movies instead of renting them. And I think they positioned it like kind of to just be a place where you'd go and watch Netflix and things like that. Well, not on Apple TV Plus, sorry, that's the paid service. I have to take that back. I have to say that over the last year, maybe even 18 months, Apple has been producing some incredible content. I'm watching Silo at the moment. Unfortunately, it does that weekly thing. Like a new episode comes out every Friday, and I hate that because the ADHD kicks in. When you want to just binge and there's a cliffhanger and it's like, oh, I gotta wait a week. But they've got some really, really good content. So they've come a long way. Is it worth the subscription? I don't know. Are any of the services worth the subscription? I don't know. But I think where Prime Video has become very clever here is you now have Apple TV Plus, you've got Paramount, BritBox. I'm not sure what else is available. I think there's like the sports ones like KO and all that. You can buy them all through Prime Video. Now, I hate predicting stuff, and people say, "What do you think is going to come?" And what's this? I always trouble quite, and I hate the word futurology or futurologist. These people that talk about themselves as futurologists, probably even more. But I would predict that we are seeing a Netflix slayer here. Netflix has been pretty much the mainstay when it comes to streaming. They spend billions in dollars on content. But I think Prime or Amazon through its Prime network is slowly going and doing all these deals with all these other companies. In America, you can now get Hulu and FX and Max on Prime Video as well. Unless the content on Netflix is just so good and so compelling, I think we're going to see Netflix start to lose a lot of subscribers. So, yeah, and also it's easy to go to Prime, right? And if you're buying stuff online and you're shopping online a lot, they own Twitch as well. So as a gamer, I spend a lot of time in the Amazon environment. I have a couple of Alexa devices floating around as well. So yeah, very interesting. And then the last one, I see talking about security. This one's a bit scary for whatever their reasons and rationales. So DJI, the world's largest drone manufacturer, and Autel Robotics could be banned from selling new drones in the USA under a new military bill. So this bill will be voted on later on this week, suppose a couple of days. So basically what that means is the company that supplies, I think, half of the drones, which is DJI in America, could face a ban and not be able to sell drones in America anymore. And this goes back to the whole it's made in China and the software's there. And it's, let's be honest, a drone is quite an invasive product as it is. It's had a lot of contentious issues over the years. So, it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. But this is the world that we live in, right? And that takes us to the end of tech news. Are you game? Now, I don't have to apologize anymore because this is now 2 shows for 2, where I said had some interesting games lined up, and I have had some interesting games lined up. And these interesting games are as follows. So, I played Pineapple, which is, I think it's like the Revenge of the Bully or something like that, or Bittersweet Bully. Don't know what its full name is. A Bittersweet Revenge. In fact, I think I've got a little streamy thing that goes on the bottom of the show there. I'll read it. A Bittersweet Revenge. So the game's called Pineapple, A Bittersweet Revenge. It's from Patrones and Escondites. I think it's how you pronounce it, if I'm not mistaken. It's Spanish. And basically, you're taking revenge on a bully by pranking her with pineapples. Um, it's quick and fun. It's quite an original game. You've got to listen, you've got to read, you've got to click, you've got to play. It's not a hard game in any way, shape, or form. It's just a really interesting little play. Probably only take you about an hour. Feedback for the developers if they were listening, and maybe they'll listen to the show after the fact. Um, I probably would have made the game for mobile. It's definitely got that feel that, given that the gameplay is about an hour, but there is quite a bit of information that you need to do and quite a few things that you have to do inside the game. Um, I've got a screen up as well that will show you. So it's all built and designed in like very cartoony storybook. But there's a book that becomes your manual, and inside that book there's codes and passwords and things that you need, and it's just a really cool game. And I think the most important thing, and something I've been trying to focus on doing, is supporting small independent developers. These are another indie developer. The game is on Steam, and I have to give them a big shout out. It's PC and Mac. So you don't get too many games that are on Mac. So yeah, the fact that they've done on Mac, that already puts them really high up in my book. So yeah, well done. Very fun game. As I said, it shouldn't take you more than an hour to get through the game, and it's just, yeah, something fun and something original. So that probably means we're now at Q&A. So what have we got here? Let's have a look through for, there's always a few questions I like. Oh, there we go. I'm going to go with this one. Hey, Brett, everything I have is Apple. Almost me too. But I want to get a VR headset, but can't afford the price of the Vision Pro. Can I use a Meta headset? Okay, so first off, I don't have a Vision Pro because the price of the Apple Vision Pro is borderline criminal. I know it's new tech, I know it's first stage tech, but I think in Australia it's like 6 grand for the headset. Um, so I don't blame you. I can't afford it either, and I don't think too many people, to be honest, can. I'm not knocking the Vision Pro. I'm just answering a question, and I'm obviously embellishing. It's my show. I'm allowed to. So basically, the simple answer is yes, but let's not talk about the ecosystem. So the question was, can I use a Meta headset because you use everything Apple? So the Meta headset is actually designed as a standalone unit. So just bear that in mind first of all. And I know why you're asking, because I'm incredibly tempted. I think they got a promo now on the 128 gig for like $500. So $6,000 and $500. And I, as much as I hate Zuckerberg, I still don't think an Apple Vision Pro is 30 times better than a Meta. But anyway, so back to the question. It's designed as a standalone unit. It's actually predominantly an entertainment used unit as opposed to a work unit. And this is why you don't need a computer. Now, if you're looking to try and create spatial computing environments, which is what the Vision Pro is all about, um, you can use the Meta headset and you can extend it as a display from your Mac. There is a third-party software. I personally haven't done it, but I think it's called Meta Extend or Meta Extender, something like that. And you get a PC extender as well, and that's what makes it mirror out and become an extra screen from your computer. But I think the most important question you'd have to ask yourself, and hopefully this does provide you the answer then, is what are you using your tech for? I always have an 80% rule. So whatever you're going to use the tech for 80% of the time, that's my rule of thumb. So if you're buying it for entertainment and that's going to be 80% of your time, definitely look at the Meta. It's a great device. There's lots of content for it. It's well priced. As I said, I think they're on promo at the moment for like $500 Aussie. So yeah, if you're looking at it for 80% of your time for work, then you obviously need to tether to a machine. You might want to also then consider spending a bit more, getting something like an HTC Vive or even the HoloLens from Microsoft. Um, the HoloLens is a lot more expensive and I think does less than the HTC Vive, but those would be designed probably a lot more for business. And I'm not saying you can't have fun. The HTC Vive has lots of games and lots of VR capability, or MR, actually. It's mixed reality headsets. But yeah, I would say if that answers the question, 80% entertainment, watching, moving, playing games, Meta is a great device. It's light, it's comfortable, battery life's pretty decent. I've played it on a few times. I know that Aureo, if he's listening, he'll probably jump in and vouch on it as well. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question. And that means that we're probably at the end of the show. So until next time, keep your screens clean and your knobs sharp.